Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to another episode of one of your favorite podcasts. As always, I am your man, K Marvel.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy QS.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I am Big Stretch.
I'm StrykerDragoon, back again.
And as always, we are your four corners of commentary. So, first off, I want to apologize for missing last week. I was just highly exhausted, so needed that break. So, thank y'all for holding the fort. And with that being said, gentlemen, take it away.
All right, so I think I'm 100% MC tonight, but we're gonna be discussing friendships and boundaries for this episode of A Corner of Controversy. I know we haven't been in our mental health bag in a while, but we thought we'd end September, which is Suicide Prevention Month, for anybody who doesn't know or hasn't seen any of our posts for the month. On I wouldn't say a sour note really, but more of a serious note, just to reel everybody in, get to know everybody's mental health situations, their levels, and have an actual heart to heart discussion, whether it's between the four of us or even with you guys in the comment section there. So, by definition, Professor Stretch, I don't know if you want to lead us off with the definition, if you want to give us the Webster's Dictionary version, if you don't mind. What is a friend, and what would you consider a friendship by definition?
Well, by definition, friendship is defined as the emotion or conduct of friends, state of being a friend. A friend, by definition, is what's called a person who knows and with whom has a bond of mutual affection, typically exclusive of any sexual or family relations. For example, we are all friends. We are not related to each other,
Right.
but we are very close with each other, and we are very vulnerable around each other. We can talk to each other about certain things, although we are not related by blood. Therefore, by definition, we are a group of friends.
Okay.
A quadrad, if you will.
QS, if you'd like to look up the word as well. What by definition would you consider a boundary is, just for our audience?
In retrospect, boundary, the Googled version of it, it comes off as it's a noun, and it's a line that marks the limit of an area, a dividing line, or a limit of a subject, or a sphere of activity. So I guess in retrospect, it really is just something that indicates, or it fixes a limit. There's a limit. There's a limit to an extent to what it pertains to. So in most cases, I guess in friendships, I guess as you get older, you have to have a boundary, because like it is true, like we're all friends, but a lot of times people don't actually have boundaries on their friendships. This it more or less just like if it's your friends, it has to be like no, there isn't a limit to the friendship, or isn't a limit to be like, all right, let's take a pause on certain things.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like let's take, you have to know you have to determine what's okay and what isn't okay, basically.
Okay. So, so hearing these two definitions, whether separate from or individual from each other, what do you, Mr. K Marvel, define as friendship? Your individual definition, not the literal definition, and then I'll go around. What constitutes friendship for you? And for anybody in the comment section, feel free to chime in. Definitely.
That's right.
If y'all don't mind, I just want to hit this first comment real quick. That's Chris from Heroes for Life good brother that I've met. He wanted to show it. He just wanted to show love. I was talking to him earlier, so shouts out to Chris. And different Chris. But a friend. I mean, I I think that's not necessarily even for me. It's excuse me. It's a little. It can be a variety of things. I don't think there. I think it depends on the situation, honestly. Um, but somebody who's there for you. I mean, at the end of the day, somebody who watches your back. Um, and I also think it's I think people forget that friends sometimes can step away, and then and then it could be years, and then you come back, and sometimes it's like things never changed. That's happened with us, and mm, uh but to me, it's just a friend is just someone who's there for you
Okay.
and genuinely cares.
QS?
What we going by? What? I
No,
mean,
we're not going by that. We're not going by Webster. Webster's gone. We're now doing
I mean,
our
We're not
each of our individual feelings towards
we're
friendship.
not talking about Emmanuel Lewis.
I
Right.
think I think when it comes with friends, we just have this retrospect. It's always like someone who's always there for you. I mean, a lot of times a friendship is also it's another form of a relationship. Um, Most times it's actually much more personal than it is where depending on most times your friendships could end up being your family. They actually is or actually deeper than what it is with you that you have with a friend family. Sometimes it can be muddled a little bit. Sometimes if it could be even more deeper than the actual intimate relationship, even more it could be more meaningful than the intimate relationship that you have with somebody else.
Mm.
Sometimes just an actual friendship with some of the people that you do consider your friends, they you actually need them. You need them especially for your mental. So it I feel that for me is just like a friend is just someone, not even just someone who's there, not even someone who's there, not someone who can listen. It's just friendships can be anything that you just deem, if you can consider this person like family, like you can consider them even more deeper than family.
Mm.
That's how I feel like that's what friendships are.
Okay. So, by your own individual definition, you feel it's a thicker than blood type of situation
More than
when it
more
comes to
usually.
friendship.
Yes, it can come off like thicker than blood. It can usually come off. That's because again, like a lot of us, there's always a down over the years. There's always so many different levels. It'd be like you've had friends who you've known since maybe you were like 10. Some friends you've known since you were 10, 15, 16, 17, 18. And then there's some friendships you just met down the line when you were in your early 20s. Hell, now you're in your 30s. They could be that's another friendship you were able to come across and ends up being deeper than a lot of the past friendships or past relationships, or even deeper than the family, your actual blood relatives. Like it really just depends. I think with that, with friendships, for me it depends on, it really just goes with the connection, or how well that y'all could really like vibe or like be able to relate.
Mm. Okay. Well said. Well said. Um, Professor Stretch, friendships to you, and being that you have a background for dealing with this type of realm of possibility of things that you help out with in your field, you can give you can give a medical terminology to it if you'd like as well.
Sure. Well, I think, well, personally, a friendship is a mutual exchange between two people. Not, I don't even take like intimate relations out of the table, because that
Hmm.
is a thing between certain groups of friends or certain pairs of friends or whatever you want to divide that, but I look at it as, a bond that's much deeper than acquaintance, meaning that, a friend is an individual which you can talk to about certain things, and you have that, most importantly, that comfortability to talk to about certain things, comfortable feeling vulnerable around, comfortable questioning around. I think a friend is a person which you can be your true self around. you
Mhm.
know I think it's fair to say that, just using you three guys as an example, and myself as well, there's many facets to our personalities. What you see like on the podcast is a sneak peek behind that, and it's an aspect of our personalities, but it's not
Right.
necessarily what makes us completely us. It's a part of it. I think the fact that what makes us friends, us in particular, is that we do feel comfortable sharing, like the whole aspect of what makes us with each other. I think that's what makes us friends. We've seen each other angry, we've seen each other, very jovial, we've seen each other very sad. That's what keeps us as friends. We're able to see all the gamut of emotions that make us, individual human beings. So,
Hold on 1 second.
While you do the pause real quick, um, just to add on to something QS said, I think it's real interesting because it's interesting when you do find these relationships or friendships that's that you might have only for like a number of months, a year, and then not that you compare them, but just to see how close you can get with someone in that time frame in comparison to somebody that you have known since childhood or have known since like a freshman year of high school. Um, I think it's to be said that to a reminder for people that friendships really do come in all shapes and sizes. And when I mean that, I don't mean like an individual person. I mean based off of the relationship you have with that person.
Not bad. Um, since I haven't gone for either which question, um, I'll say friendships to me, in a broader sense, there's always levels to friendship. Um, we have acquaintances, people you say hi bye to, or people you socialize with or work with, or through another friend, or something of that sort.
right.
That's one level of friendship. I
Mm,
feel when you can confide in somebody, or you are expressing your love, or you know for example, everybody has their own individual secrets or things that they don't tell people. I feel you're raising yourself through to another threshold of friendship. But to me, friendship comes with loyalty, not blind loyalty, but loyalty in the sense of, hey, I've known you for X amount of time. Sometimes it doesn't even matter the length. But for my period of time being with this person, I know that they'll always tell me not what I want to hear, but what I need to hear. Somebody that's always going to rein me in at a point and say, hey, you're fucking up. I'll support you, but no, you're fucking up. Or another example would be, you know, I'll just even throw this out. We can talk about material things. Say, for example, I'm broke, and I know there's one person I can call and say, hey, even if it's a person's last dollar, they'll give me that last dollar because they know I'm always willing to give that back, or they can trust me with that money and know that I'm doing something with it, or if I need it for a good reason, and I can always give that back. Like, there's different levels of friendship, there's different levels of trust. Trust and friendship are on equal plane,
mm,
and a lot of people say they have friends, but in the back of their head they're thinking they're acquaintances, or they don't know exactly what a friendship is. And that's where manipulation sinks in, or that's where people give that image of what a friendship is. So to me individually, to be a friend of mine, as opposed to being an acquaintance of mine, there's a level of trust, there's a level of communication between me and this person, If it's with you know, a woman whom I'm interested in, or a woman who I'm dating, it becomes a level of love, a level of communication, also level of trust. All of these things encompass each other and become what is a friendship.
But you see,
So yes, QS.
because it's just, you know, it's only to chime in on that is because it's like a lot of
And I
times,
shouldn't say woman, I should say significant other,
not
but
even,
just as a
I'm not,
general sense. But go ahead.
not yeah, not even speaking on the thing of women, you know, significant others. It's back to what you say, you know, um with friendship, it's like it has to be with loyalty. You know, it's what thing with friendship is loyalty. You know, like to tell you what you not what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. A lot of times that really does get misconstrued a lot because you can be that friend that tells someone what they need to hear, and
Hmm.
they'll take that and they're gonna take that as opposition. They'll take that as opposition or take that as nah, you're not being a real friend, you're just against me. Because and this is where, like, you know, that's where it starts to get complicated, because then it's like, well, you actually wanting a friend that's really going to be there for you and really like still going to support you but tell you what you need to hear, or are you going to end up with are you trying to do or do you want somebody just there to enable you? And it's
Hmm.
because that's a lot of times it's because you see, I think all of us have seen it across the board. You haven't see you don't have to necessarily put it with our own in our circle space in our spaces, but you've seen it
Right.
in other people's spaces. You've seen it in others, or you've even seen it on like TV shows or how they represent friendships, how they would want more. They how it gets lost in translations, like you want somebody to enable you because of loyalty. Then instead of just someone like, yes, they'll be loyal to you, but they're gonna tell you when you fucking up. Or better
Yep.
yet, there's always that saying where it's like, you know, support them in public but correct them in private.
Yep.
When in truth, you probably should correct them in public and in private. And even if you're corrected in public, it's not any type of opposition. It's not like, you know, it's to put you down, but it's just like, yo, it's just to make you better. Like, yo,
Yep.
like, because I believe, like, you know, as a friend, like, yo, I want the best for you. I see the best for you. I know you could do better than this. Like, you know, you're better than this. I don't, this is not in a way to verbally eviscerate you or like put you down or make you feel like you are less than. It's just like, yo, you really like it sometimes that I feel like that gets really misconstrued. It gets really mixed up and
It does
like
get lost in translation. I
yeah, and
feel a
I
lot of
think
people do that.
yeah,
I
and I
agree with
think
that.
yeah, because I think like a lot of people really that's where everything starts to get a little weird, muddled when it comes to like with friendships. Like when we take that's why when you start to take the friendships more seriously than your actual relationships, or you take your friendship, you because again, your friendships, these are bonds you build with people that you met and you want to like have a lifetime, make it last a lifetime. Like I think it's for men especially, with us when it comes to friendships, we want it to last in the form of, you know,
Mhm.
I guess an example, The Wood.
Got you.
Everybody knows the fame. Everybody knows the film of The Wood. You know, it's probably one of the most positive like depictions of like for black men. You know, it shows black friendship and all black men as friends, friendships from like when they were kids all the way to when you saw like when their boys getting married. Like this is what you would want your friendships to be like. Yo, that's if you had a somewhat of a depiction, you want it to be like that. Or you know, like some people will go and sit there and be like, sometimes, you know, crazy enough, they want, you know, their friendships to be like Boys in the Hood, or hell, they'd want it to be like, you know, if it's in a family wise, you want it to be like Four Brothers. It's
Mhm.
everyone has like the different depictions of what they want a friendship to be if they like, you know, base it off movies. But sometimes, you know, you have to just you gotta like take the reality of certain situations and be like, you know, it's not always like that. It's not gonna always be like that. There might be a little like even with some friendships, there might be a little bit of opposition.
Yeah. I you're hitting it right on, you're hitting the nail on the
I,
head, brother.
I would hope that I am. I'm like I don't want to make it seem like I'm just talking and I'm just
No,
like
no, 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 no. You're not talking. It's,
okay,
you know, to have these episodes, you know, we always have to digest sometimes what's being said.
right.
Sometimes you gotta, before you make that next statement, you gotta analyze what's being said before you, because you may say everything that we're about to say, but we may have a different word, or we may have a different viewpoint of it. So we can have half of everything that you're saying in our head already, but you may say one thing that we view a bit differently. So that's why this type of discussion conversation is always great.
Right.
But hello to Sabrina. Sabrina said something interesting.
Brother,
In the words of Harvey Dent, you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Sometimes that's what happens in friendships. So
that's an interesting point. Very interesting point.
how would y'all take that? Stretch, how would you take that comment in regards to friendships?
Well, I've had a lot of, for example, friends who I've had to distance myself from, for example, because of what I consider to deplorable political views on human rights and things of that nature. I'm not going to get too specific into details about that, but I think that's a true point when it comes to any type of relationship, whether it be friends or otherwise.
Yeah.
You know, there's a difference, I think, like just to expand on what I said, as far as like distancing myself from certain people because of political views and things like that. There's a few things that you can say like agree to disagree on. And I think this is like a good segue into boundaries, for example.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't agree to disagree on things like human rights and discrimination and how we view other human beings trying to live in society. You agree to disagree on things like apple pie versus pumpkin pie or some shit like that, or chocolate versus vanilla. We do a lot of agreeing to disagree on this podcast when it comes to wrestling. That's a subjective thing. Right. We can look at a match and say like, oh, I like this match. Oh, and one person be like, oh, I hated this match, and we have a discussion about it. But there's nothing like that breaks a friendship or whatever. Things such as racism, sexism, things of that nature. Like those are things to me like, I think that are like non-negotiables, like that are deal breakers.
Absolutely.
Like I hear people like, for example, there are people out there who deny something like the Holocaust happening. I don't mean to sound so extreme, but there are sects of people out there who believe that. Like something like that for me would be a deal breaker because that is something that is recorded in human history. That's an atrocity, and to diminish it or deny it would be disrespectful for the individuals who have lived through it and then continue to be affected by it today. So things like that, I think, to segue into boundaries are things that are discussed, during friendships and stuff like that to see whether those friendships are permanent and see whether those people can be permanent in your life,
Right.
But overall, I agree with her point. That's actually a very good point to make when it comes to being somebody's friend, because you can, know somebody long enough to see them change and not change for the better,
Sometimes it changes for the worse.
Before we get into boundaries, Sabrina said some more things. She said it's kind of hard to come back from that because you really have to be the one to check them and let them know it with love and not on some hating shit. And she says sometimes you have to be a parent even when you don't want to be. It's very true. You have friendships where you
just wanted to curse.
Yeah, I mean,
I see you. You just wanted to curse.
I mean, we're not a completely PG show.
You just wanted to curse.
Every PG-13 movie has at least one curse, right? So that was my one.
Simpsons movie had an animated penis.
Not like
that's visual. I don't know what the limits are on visual, but I know verbally, yes.
I don't curse.
Huh.
You lying.
As you hear the siren in the background for you lying,
but as you were saying in terms of the segue of boundaries now, so you don't have to give anything specific to you. So I'm just prefacing the conversation now. You can mention things you like, you can mention things you don't like. It doesn't have to get anything personal or super specific, but you can give a trait about people that you don't like. You can give, something you've seen people do to one another that you don't like. So stuff of that nature. But let's give what boundaries mean to us individually. We're removing textbook from everything at this point. You speak on boundaries to you. You speak on whether it's a mental boundary, a physical boundary, whatever type of boundary you have in your life. Like I said, you don't have to get specific or too personal, but let's hear different thoughts about what a boundary is to each one of us.
I think I'll start it off. It's short, not even short and sweet. It's just going to get straight to the point. I think when it comes to a boundary, especially if, let's say, it's mental boundaries of friendships, you there's a lot of times especially for all of us in our friendships, as we're growing, things tend, you already know, things change.
Hmm.
I would say that I'd want to say that almost everybody here on this podcast panel and everyone in the comments are probably definitely well into their 30s. So it's like they always say, like, when you come into your 30s, a lot of shit gets different, and friendships do play a part in that, as well as boundaries, because it's like you could be mentally on a different type of journey,
Hmm.
or a different type of journey of healing, where you're recovering from all whatever past traumas you've been dealing with, past traumas from failed friendships, failed relationships, or trauma from dealing with trying to fix what's going on with your family or your parents, and you're just not in a space that you were when you just met this person as that first as your friend. Probably was like your best friend, like your bro or your sis, like y'all always was joking about every and anything, whereas it is now to this point, because you're in a whole different space mentally, all that other shit ain't funny no more. Like what was used to be funny to you back then, it ain't funny now. So it's just like, you put yourself on like a little bit of a you distance yourself a little bit, or be like, you put that limiter, that blocker up, like, listen, sometimes it's good to have that uncomfortable that is also leading to an uncomfortable conversation where you have to let that friend, even that so-called friend, know, like, listen, everything that we used to joke about back then, I don't find it funny anymore, and I'm
Hmm.
like not in that. I'm just not in that different space. I'm not in that space anymore. I'm not there right now. Just please respect that boundary that I have, and be like, stop having those type of conversations with me.
Yep.
Or you could even be, or even then, like mentally, you could have been that friend that was the one that always everybody kept running to dump all their problems on when it came to,
Hmm.
if they wanted advice. If you were giving advice and they just wanted to dump the problems onto you, and believe it or not, it might have, you never even realized it, but their problems actually started taking a mental toll on you. So you now setting up that boundary to just let them all know, like, hey, stop telling me, don't stop coming to me only for like to vent, or like to be your unlicensed therapist. Like, I don't, especially if I'm not, if you're not getting paid for any of this. Well, not even,
Yeah.
and like, I'm not saying you're not getting paid, but it's like, you have to be honest with yourself to say, like, some of these things take a toll on you. So it's just like, you're doing this, you set up the boundaries really not only to, like, just to be like, it's just as a healthy way to move forward, but it's also really to to protect your peace, protect
Hmm.
your peace internally, but also protect your where you are at mentally now, like, just to help you, like, you not trying to like revert back, you're not trying to like be muddled in the chaos that you can identify it as now from back then. Like, it was just chaotic. So now you're just
Yeah.
in a space where you just like, I'm not in that type of space anymore. I'm not on that type of vibe. I'm better off where I think we're good just having these these blockers or these limiters to be like, all right, I know I can't go that far with these jokes, or I know I can't go this far if I have to really, if I wanted to vent, I can't really go to this person because
Hmm.
they don't have the capacity for that any longer. They don't have the
Right.
capacity for that, or they don't even have the tolerance.
Mm.
You have to also, you just have to respect it, because that's just how they feel. It doesn't even have to, but sometimes when you set some of these boundaries, others will take that boundary as confrontation, as it's going to be confrontational. It's like it's going to be a fight. Like, oh, why you feel this way now? Like you moving
Yeah.
funny, or you moving different. When it's just
That's
like,
true.
and it's like, nah, yeah, you moving different. You're moving different because you're getting older. You're moving
Yeah.
different because you you move different. You're thinking different. You're not thinking of how you were you thinking when you were 21, when you were 21, 20, or 25, and you were just being young,
Shit, younger than that.
all over. Yeah, of course younger than that, but you're just not in that space where you were all over the place. Whereas now, you're getting older, you're in your 30s, you're trying to be grounded. You're trying to make yourself a little bit. You're trying to be healthier than what you were before than what it
Right.
was.
Mhm. I feel somebody said. I feel I've heard this a couple of times. Maybe not a couple, maybe more than a couple in various ways. But you don't want to be the same you uh, as you were last year. Every year
Mhm.
that you grow, every year that you age, every year
Mhm.
that you grow,
Mhm.
you want to be something different. You want to achieve something different. You want to be on a different level. I don't want to be where I was when I was 14 or, whatever age it was, I'm going into high school compared to now where I'm entering my 30s. Like, I
Mhm.
don't think we want to be at that
Yeah,
type of place,
like if you're in your 30s and you're still like in the same spot that you were when you were 14, there's a problem. That's
Mhm.
I mean that's a lot of soul. That's more than enough soul searching you need to do, and you have
Hmm.
to like, yo, like yeah, I need to really like change up. Like shit isn't there's nothing going for me. Like you don't want to feel like that in that aspect. But I think like it also plays a part, and also with your friends as well. Like if you are in a different space mentally, you would want your friends to also be in a different space
Yeah,
mentally.
elevate with me. If I'm in a spot of elevation and I'm, I'm making I'm always bring up money, but if I'm not in the same job I was that we were at, and I'm up here and I want to help y'all get up here, and you're still comfortable being down here. I can't sacrifice, what I'm doing up here just to meet you guys back down here. We're not talking specifically about the money, but it's the mindset. If I'm we'll bring up the old stereotype. If I'm in the hood and I'm doing this and that on the streets, and one of my guys get out of the hood and they're completely removed from it, they want to change their environment, they want to change their mindset, they want to change their scenery, and I go call them about some shit that's happening back in their old neighborhood, they're not thinking of that.
Mm.
So I'll put even a spin on what you spoke about with boundaries. It's not even that people are dumping on people, but the people that they're venting to, who's giving them advice, they're not taking the advice. And that's something personal to me, because I feel if I'm giving you constant, consistent advice
Mm.
in ways to avoid a situation, or in a way to communicate better, or to learn the person that you're having the issue with, and you come back to me every week, every month, nothing's changing, I'll ask you, did you at least try some of the things or some of the advice that I gave you? 6 out of 10 times you'll probably hear no. So it's kind of like, if you're not really doing the individual work at that point, then why am I going to waste my breath? At a certain level or a certain capacity, it's going to overflow for me. I
I,
can't take on everybody's problems.
I feel
At a
like
certain point, it's going to say, hey, at a certain point, people will say, hey, I tried my best. I wash my hands with the situation. It is not changing.
yeah,
That is not evil on anybody's part. And I think people who take offense to that should not take offense to that. I have to tell people this constantly.
I think when it
People
gets to that,
change, and then some people don't want to change at all.
yeah,
So it's hard for you to, what's the quote with the horse? You can bring a horse to water, but you can't
yeah,
force
Can't
it
make
to
them drink.
drink.
yeah, you
Yeah.
can't force them to drink. Yeah, that's a saying that always that'll stand to the test of time. Yeah, you could, yeah, you could bring a horse to water, but you can't tell them to drink. Or the other old saying is, who don't. That's an old West Indian proverb. Who don't hear must feel.
Oh,
You don't hear it if you're
well
not going to
said.
hear it.
Yep.
If you're not going to hear it, you're going to feel it. And you have to you sometimes the hardest thing about with that's why another boundary has to be set. When if you are that friend that's they always keep coming to, and you're giving all this advice and they just choose not to listen, you're giving sound advice, and they say like, "Oh yeah, yo, thank you, like that's really good advice. I'm gonna take heed of that. I'm gonna do that," and they just still don't do it. They just stay stuck in doing what they're doing. You you have to just learn to put that boundary on yourself. You have to put that boundary on yourself, and also probably put the boundary on that friend as well to keep a distance,
Mm-hmm.
because not even just protect your peace, but now you have, since you're not listening, you not listening, it basically was my, that's my fault. I had to take that as my fault because I just blocked you from learning a lesson. I had to learn that the hard way. I think a friend of mine, even Miss True, she always used to tell me that, like, yo, like if I'm over here giving you advice and you not listening, I'm blocking you from learning your lesson already. So now I got to put the boundary on it. So now you know you can't come to me for advice.
Yep, exactly.
You can't come to me for advice because I already closed that part off already for a while. And I just have to sit back. And the hardest thing is just to sit back and allow you to keep going through what you're going through until you learn your lesson. You have sometimes that's a lesson in itself. You have to sometimes just sit back and let your friends just, if they're going through something, you have to let them just go through it. You gotta
Yeah.
let them go through it. You can't don't not even give advice. And it's not, sometimes that does come off as cruel. It will come off, it gets misconstrued and comes off as like, you're cruel or
Mm.
you don't care about them. And it's like not true at all. The
Well,
hardest thing ever to do is refusing to help, knowing that you want to help someone, especially if it's
well, you
if
see,
you
you
got,
see
if you
how
got
things flow, right? Because Sabrina actually said, "Life plays a cruel game. You just have to deal with it."
yeah, you got to deal with it, but it's like dealing with it. Unfortunately, it comes off as you get portrayed as the villain, and the whole time it's like you have to just take that L and just be like, all right, I'm the villain. When the whole time it's just like, well, he's really not. He's really not a villain. He's actually like he's not really a villain. He's like when you go and hear that they always take you as a villain because they don't know your perspective. Everybody always you're always the bad guy until everybody else sees until everyone else learns and hears your perspective first. When they do, like once they see your perspective, then they understand and be like, okay, I see exactly what you mean now. It
Mm.
always it's that's why it pays to, like, you have to see all sides before you like make a decision. And you see, like, you seen how these two friends are moving with each other. Like this friend has this boundary placed on another friend, and you think that it's just because it's beef, and it's just like, nah, it's not even beef. They just, this is something that is more a little bit deeper, and they have a reason that they're doing that. You have to just accept it. You have to just accept it and just be like, okay, I understand.
Mm. So, just on a boundary tip, like that is an actual real life situation for me. I oh, something's playing sound. I was trying to figure out where the sound's coming from. My bad. Um, that's a real life situation for me. I've had people come to me constantly, asking for advice, trying to figure out what trying to figure out how to best deal with the situation. And I'm a person who tends to give people many options, many different, thought processes of how things are coming about or why things are happening. And ultimately, it comes down to what they want to deal with, what they want to do. So, you know, I won't speak on a specific situation. I have plenty I can speak about, but it's not fair to mention people that are not on the
No, of
podcast.
course, I get that.
So, uh, you know, situations of like relationships, should I stay with this person? What is let me see. Do you think this person's cheating? Do you think this and this and that is happening? Honestly, to me, I say, as fucked up as it is to say, I give people enough rope. Like, if you think this person is cheating, you got to figure out how you're gonna get to that answer. Some people are very bold and brash, and they want to start an argument. Me personally, if I find out you're cheating, you're cheating. What's my first thought? Hey, maybe I fucked up. Maybe something wrong. Communicate. And this is a thing about friendships and boundaries as well. Communication is a very big thing. Doesn't matter the level of friendship, doesn't matter the level of boundary. communication is key and always will be key. If I don't know something's bothering you, or if I don't know you're triggered by something, don't fault me for not knowing that you're triggered by something. Pull me to the side, let me know. If at any point in a friendship, you feel that my worldviews or my personal views don't suit yours, we have that little round table conversation. You ask, why do you think this way? What brings you to this conclusion? As opposed to, hey, oh, you said this, fuck you, I'm canceling you, I don't want to hear anything you have to say. No, everybody's experiences are different. Everybody's way of life is different, I guess you can say, as well. So the path to people's boundaries, the path to people having these friendships or acquaintances with these different people, all different ways how these things come about. So communication to me is very important when it comes to these two topics. I have to let you know that, and I'm just doing this as a breakdown for everybody once again. I'm letting you know X, Y, and Z. I don't fuck with it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to deal with it. In terms of friendships, if I feel, hey, all of my friends, have some people want friends that just give them benefits. Me personally, doesn't matter what walk of life you come from, doesn't matter, what you do for a living, stuff like that. I don't judge you by the path you walk. I judge you by the person that you are. So if you think that, you have to judge somebody in order to be a friend of theirs, no, you don't have to judge the person. You can judge their character, of course, but what they're associated with doesn't necessarily mean that the person exactly is bad. Sometimes it's how they're brought up. So, Stretch, talk to us. Boundaries. What are boundaries to you? What are some boundaries you have encountered with people that you dealt with, or maybe some boundaries you had to put up with a situation that you figured that this person is not going to be 100% the friend that you thought, but you can keep them as a friend at a distance. Just that's just a hypothetical situation, but
Yeah,
break that down.
I guess for transparency, dude, you learn with boundaries over time, and
Mhm.
you learn with boundaries a little bit through a lot of different avenues. One, what feels good to you. Two, trial and error. Um, my own like relationships and stuff, I've learned that a big boundary for me is open communication. Like, I can't feel like I'm walking with eggshells around you.
Yep.
Meaning that I should be able to speak freely and be able to share my opinion without fear of like, persecution or retaliation in some way, shape, or form, whether it be passive aggressive or direct. One of the things that I remember in some of my past relationship was not feeling quite empowered to always share my opinion on things in order to avoid conflict. So it's a big red flag for me if I can't share something, as small as me liking like maybe a social activity or me not wanting to do something and it turns into a problem. That's a big boundary for me to feel like I have to be like, I have to feel like I'm myself, essentially. So I would say like, as far as like a definitive sense, a boundary is like, a standard or an expectation you either hold others or hold yourself to as far as like what matters for your comfortability and what matters for their comfortability as well. Cause it's a two-way street.
Of course.
You have to also realize that sometimes the way that you come across could be a violation of somebody else's boundaries, and the way that you come across can be, maybe not traumatizing, but for lack of a better word, can be very detrimental to how a person feels and how their mental health is, maintained and conducted. So you have to also realize while it's fair for a person to have their own personal boundaries in place, you also have to worry about the other person too. Like any type of friendship is a mutual exchange. It's a mutual exchange of emotions, it's a mutual exchange of ideas, and it's a mutual exchange of vulnerability as well. So you have to be very mindful of what your boundaries mean, not only for yourself, but for another person as well.
Yeah. I agree with that. It really does, for that in both aspects of friendship, it could play a
Yeah.
two-way street because, for not for nothing, what you could feel is such a boundary for you and it's traumatizing, like that other person can feel oblivious. And and feeling that other friend being oblivious, that could also be also to you as well. Like, they you can sit they can sit there and say how they're oblivious to everything, saying like, hey, you never said that these things would bothered you, and so to speak, and the whole time they actually did. They did. They probably did actually say it. They said it numerous times, pointed out numerous times. And sometimes we can all admit, as we're all flawed human beings, we all get in our own way. We all got our own stuff to like worry about. We all got our own issues that we're trying to process and internally try to like conquer and deal with, that we don't consider like what somebody else is really going through, so to speak, as much. But that's why, it's good to have those conversations. It's good to have, not even as conversations, it's good to have that type of discussion. It's a discussion so that way y'all can lead into understanding. But again, I had this other conversation with a friend the other day where it's just like, sometimes when it comes to these conversations on, boundaries, and so to speak, we tend to automatically think that a conversation is going to be a confrontation. We automatically will, it's like, I don't know if like we're almost all conditioned to think like every discussion is about to be an argument or every discussion is going to be a fight. So right there and then, this the it goes it just blows up, like whatever could have really been just talked about from both sides, and it's both y'all both come to like mutual agreement and be like, all right, we know how to move for this way and that way going forward, moving ahead. We're already now it's just like, no, like you just think like it's going to be a big argument, a big fight, because it's like, I don't, everybody somehow links their traumas. Their traumas keep going seeping back. Everyone's traumas seep back, and then it comes into the form of like, you know, whatever you dealt with in your past relationships. And sometimes that's an unfortunate thing when your past relationships. Sometimes that if it did end sour, it actually starts playing into your friendships. Like when you start to compartmentalize so much of whatever trauma you've been dealing with over the years, that it's now seeped out, and you're just letting it seep out in so many different forms and aspects to, well, honestly, to the wrong person that didn't even deserve it. In truth, they really just didn't know. A lot of people
Right.
really, you don't know. So it goes back to even what you said, Striker. Like if I didn't know, you never even told me, if you never like had this discussion with me, how am I just supposed to automatically know that you're going through such said thing and you need like this boundary placed when you never
Or
said
shit,
it?
I'm saying something that's upsetting you. Like for example, me and you could be very fucking jokey. All of us in general could be very
So,
jokey. But
so
I could make a joke of something that happened in the past, and I didn't think anything of it, but it may have been a big fucking situation to you.
hmm
So for me to say, "Oh my god, I thought it was a joke," sometimes words do hurt. Sometimes
yeah,
situations are way bigger than what you think they are,
it's
but
true.
you might brush it off. But people might brush it off either for the parties involved, or it's something that had traumatized them that they don't want to think about or constantly revisit. So that's like I said, hey, remember the day that, oh, your hairline was fucked up, or you had that
Yeah,
bald patch in your hair. And I keep going about, oh, you remember the bald patch in your hair? I'm glad you fix your hair now and stuff like that. There's some random shit like that. But just
but it's
that little nagging thing. It
that
could
could,
be that little that day you got that big pimple on your face, and
and it
people were
really,
just making
yeah,
that
like,
constant laugh about that zit
yeah,
on your
making that,
face, you
yeah,
know?
making a constant laugh, like before you, and little do you know, like I probably really was sitting here like literally dealing with hair loss. I'm literally dealing with an acne problem that really has bothered me probably since I was a child, and you just never knew that. You ain't gonna know that
Right.
because that's something that they probably didn't even realize. Maybe I'd like hypothetically, I probably was going to therapy for that, and it's just like now you over here feeling like now you over here feeling like a dick because you was just like, well, shit, I didn't know if this was he was going through all of
Right.
this. He never told me, and just and at the same time, you got to give grace because it's like, yeah, it didn't tell you. But then you also can understand, well, how were they going to be able to tell you?
Right.
How who knows, who's to say that they didn't even have the courage or didn't feel like they were even they built up the strength enough to even come out with that and tell it. It just this is where it's just like, that's where it's like it gets that's why a lot of times this shit does get a little befuddled because it's like, well, damn, I don't how do we really like say um how do we know like how to say or like how to respond to a situation like that, you know?
Yeah. Because it's already gone down such that it's gone that down that spiral where to the point where you don't even know where it hurt, at what point it
Yeah,
hurt, or for how long you've been doing it.
yeah,
So that's why also with communication is a very big thing. I'm not gonna know what's bothering you. I'm not gonna know your mental state at any given time. If we're jokey, or we're used to picking on each other, at one time maybe I don't want to take fucking jokes anymore, and I just take a stand for it. I say, yo, it's not a funny time. I don't want to have jokes happening. Like, this is real serious shit happening with me. But
yeah.
if you're not communicating that, nobody's gonna know.
Like
Nobody's gonna know.
I'll take this
But
for instance.
another thing with boundaries as well is energy transference. I'm not big on, I can say I'm a bit of a spiritual person, but not to the sense of, crystals and, sage and stuff of that nature. But um energy transference is a big thing.
Mhm.
And I tell people this a lot. You don't feed into people's negative energy. You don't feed into people always goading you into doing something or acting out of character in a way that you don't want to. So for me, in a sense of boundaries in that nature, know when you're giving too much energy to a situation and be able to pull yourself back from that, because there's situations where somebody will rile you up 100%, and you're feeling that they're angering you, or you legitimately feel bad because they keep guilt tripping you about certain things.
Mhm.
And ultimately, when you think they're hurting or they're feeling bad about something, they don't give two shits about what's happening.
They don't.
Just the fact that you're wasting your energy away at the situation. So, just my advice, my personal advice for anybody: if you feel that a situation is taking too much of your energy, it is okay to pull back. Sometimes I personally don't like the term of ghosting, but some people ghost just to, save their sanity.
I mean, I do.
And
I
it's
do.
not a bad thing to pull back for your sanity, but I feel if you have people who legitimately care about you, let somebody know what's going on,
Nah,
if that's the case.
I understand.
That's
Like,
just me personally.
no, because I understand. Like, I'll say this. Like, dude, I've definitely like been that one to pull back, which is like I completely did distance myself completely. Like you could understand. Like you, anyone that's seen me, I've been around, had countless friends, but if it was something that I just wasn't rocking with no more, my absence left.
Speaks volumes,
It
basically.
speaks.
Yeah.
It spoke volumes. I just removed myself completely from the situation, and it's not even. It was no anger towards them. It's no maliciousness. Not no beef, no hate. It's just a matter of, yeah. I just need to protect my damn peace. I need to protect my peace, my mental stability, and like the whole thing, the energy transference. If you want to really go on that level, I just wasn't in the mood to deal with it, so I just said, screw it. I'm out.
Yeah,
I'm
and
out.
that's the protect your peace type of situation. And
Yeah.
it's always said, don't feed your energy to things that's not, giving you anything good back. I completely agree with that. I wholeheartedly agree with that. You can care for somebody, you can give 100% to whomever it is, and sometimes they'll just give you back 25%. So at
Yeah.
that point, if I'm giving all my energy to a situation that's not being taken serious, or not, being held in the high regard that I'm holding it for you, then what are we doing here?
Hardest thing that you can, the hardest thing to ever accept is you have to realize that everybody is not you. Everybody is not going to respond like you. Everybody's not going to react like you. They're not going to receive receive certain things like you. Like you have to really just you have to acknowledge that, and you have to understand that like everybody else is different. You can't expect the same energy that you give out to everyone else. You can't expect that to be given in return. It's the beautiful thing that you would love to be able to get that. It's a beautiful thing if you're able to get that from everyone, for everyone that you consider, friends or everything. But in most cases, you have to just accept that some friends do have their limits, and they just can't give you. They can't give you what you give. You're able to give that
Yep.
much. And I would say like don't even let that change who you are. But just know like, it's not it's not like, the end of the world. So it's not to say it's the end of the world. That's the wrong word. I would say like, it's just not a matter of it's just not a matter of
It's the end, not the end of their world.
yeah, not the end. Yeah, it's not the end of their world. It's just because again, like I said, they're not you. They're not going to be you, so they can't.
100%.
Yeah, they can't. You can't really expect them to feel the way you feel because they're not you. They're looking at it as just like, oh, okay, well, they'll if you have an issue, like because they're not doing the amount of things that you do as a friend, they'll apologize, but at the same time, they also are not. It's not like they're going to push themselves to to do exactly what you do. They're not going to do that. You just
Right.
have to be able to just understand, like, all right, well, they're not me. They're not me. I'm not them. I'm not. I can't expect me from everybody. But I also would say
Pretty
like
much.
if you can't expect you from everyone, I also would say don't let that change who you are as an individual.
Completely agree.
Never let that change who you are as an individual. That is where internally that you probably have lost within yourself because you literally are
Mhm.
now you're allowing all of this to take hold and take root of you. You're allowing it
Right.
to literally take control of you.
Yep. And that still goes into that conversation of energy transference.
Yeah,
But just so nobody gets it misconstrued, I'm not saying, you know, fuck whomever's not giving you the 100% that you're giving them. I'm not saying that. Uh Tiffany made a great point, and she said some people got to go through whatever it is they're going through alone. Look at it the other way. They can give you good back because they can't give you good back because they aren't in a
exactly.
space to give the energy back.
They're not.
So it flowed exactly into what you were saying.
Yeah, like they're not. Yeah, they're not. They're really not there. They not in that mental capacity. You can't. That's why I say like a lot of times when it comes to this adage of like as we get older, we're learning this when it comes to like friendships.
Mhm.
We want the way how we see ourselves as a friend or we see ourselves as an individual as a person. We all like to look at ourselves as this good person. We're good people.
Yep.
We're a good friend. We're always there for someone when they need you. All of that, everything, confidant, all of that. But sometimes most cases you feel like their energy isn't received or it's not reciprocated. There is some that will not do it because they're just pure maliciousness. And if that was the case, if it's out of maliciousness or some hating shit, though those are the ones that are not to be your friends. But for the ones
Right.
that that are like there for you or that are there for you, but sometimes they're not able to come on. It could come off the fact they're not mentally there. They're not mentally there. They're not mentally able to pick up the pieces and help you the way that you're helping them, or if you've helped everybody else, countless others, so to speak. They can't do that. Which is why it goes back to saying everybody's not you.
Yeah, it's
Everybody's
true.
not you. Like I've always said it all the time. Nobody's you, and that's your power. I've literally that's a saying I've always keep on like reiterating because it's really the truth. That there really is power in you being who you are as a person, as an individual. There's power in that, but everybody can't do or can't duplicate that. They can't duplicate that type of energy or that type of aura can never be duplicated. There's only a very select few that can actually do it or do it to almost to perfection or do it to a certain extent. There's
Hmm.
only there's only a few people that can do that. A few people, I guess, in this world, and the few is like small percentage of people in this world that can do that.
Yeah, I
You can't.
agree with that.
Yeah.
Also, What was I gonna say about energy? Okay. So in terms of being a good person, sometimes you can toxically be a good person. You can overextend your hand. You can over give advice. You can over everything. I feel just like with eating, just like with anything we do, in our daily lives, everything should be done in moderation. I feel you can give advice, you can be a good person, you can do good deeds for others, but also to feel that everything given needs to be reciprocated can be a very toxic mentality as well. I've told people, I've even told maybe even my parents at certain points. I say, you can constantly give and give and give to people, but if you know in your heart that you did the best to your ability, or you did something to the best of its ability and you gave from your heart, just leave it at that. You shouldn't expect a thank you back from somebody, or expect a gift or the level of giving that you're giving to somebody else. You shouldn't always expect that, but the fact that you did it from your heart, or you did that with good conscience, leave it at that.
Real
The
friends,
response, sometimes you may get a surprise response. Sometimes you're not expecting the response or expecting the reciprocation, but the reciprocation may come. But
real friends,
everybody gives and everybody receives differently, I guess you can say.
real friends don't count favors.
And exactly that.
That's
Exactly that.
real friends. We
But
don't.
I mention it because even with
Yeah, no,
family too, even
yeah, I
with
get,
family too, it happens
yeah,
that way. And it's
never,
very crazy that it does.
yeah. You should never count favors. Never count. Never. Wouldn't even say favors. You should never count good deeds.
Good
Never count.
deeds, right?
If it comes
Hmm.
off, because then it comes off as like it's not genuine.
Right.
If you're counting it, or you're trying to compare what you did for this person and what they did for you, then it's just like, well, then if you're comparing it, then why'd you
Why
do it?
do it?
Hmm.
Why'd you do it for me? Like, did you do it for me because you cared, or did you do it for me because you just wanted something in return?
Hmm.
Right.
Was
Yeah.
this?
Exactly.
Did you just want this? Is this supposed to be like? Is this friendship transactional, or is this actually what you? Or is this really? Is this a transactional type of relationship, or is this? Are you? If you say that you're a friend, you shouldn't. Then friends. This is what friends are initially. What we were raised to believe. Like friends are supposed to stick up for each other, look out for one another, never never worry about it. And even putting the pride aside, because trust me, believe I know pride.
Oh,
Pride also plays a hand into these things when it comes to
pride is a
friendships too.
big B word, man.
I'd go before a fall.
That's a fact.
Pride,
That's a fact.
something. Um, I think one of the strongest songs that's connected to me within the last, I'll say, 5 years is that J. Cole song "Pride is the Devil." And when you go through that song and listen to each bar, um, he mentions a lot of things that actually happen. Um, and and it's the truth. Like I'm not, I mean, y'all know me. I'm not the most religious person in the world. Um, but it is definitely what you give to the universe comes back to you. And can y'all hear me good? I'm all right.
Yeah, you're fine.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're fine.
And
Ooh, sorry.
no, you good. Something about that song will always like connect with me and I mean, all four of us are very prideful, and that's just the truth, and we all know it.
Hmm.
We've known it from the interactions we've had with each other. And I don't mean that as a negative sense, but pride really is a bitch. And pride can prevent you from moving forward so much. I mean, um, I'm going through that right now, and that's just the truth. Pride can definitely stop you. It can stunt your growth. It's y- I'm kind of making a joke about this, but kind of not. Like, pride is like coffee. You know what I'm saying? They
Mhm.
say you drink coffee and it stunts your growth. You know what I mean?
Really?
I mean,
Yeah, I've,
allegedly.
I've heard I've heard at
It,
some
it
point
that
that coffee
that's been
stunts
the
your
rumor
growth. Yeah,
forever.
I've never
But
heard of that before.
I've heard
yeah,
that at some point in
well,
my life.
you're
Yeah.
also
It's
ten
not
foot
true. I
two,
drink coffee as a
and
kid. Just saying.
It's
No,
not
I don't. I
true.
don't want to
I
diminish
will
your
say
point.
one thing.
you're also
Since I've started drinking
you're
Well,
also
coffee,
the
I haven't
you're
been
also the
feeling
same
that
height.
great. So
you're also the same height as Andre the Giant.
I,
So
I don't want to diminish your. Go ahead. I don't want to diminish.
no, you good. But I mean that's the saying. I mean, but
Say whoever came up with that rumor need work.
that or a fucking height
true,
adjustment.
fucking Drake coffee.
That or a goddamn height adjustment. What's good, Mark?
my bad, Joe.
No,
Mark, don't think we were ignoring you. I do my placement real well. So Mark says you're what's good, fellas. And he
Is that a
also
shot?
said, I try
I
to
heard
be a
that.
good person as much as possible, but I'm a firm believer in don't take my kindness for weakness. And I guess that could flow in with the pride conversation as well.
Right.
You
Well,
know,
it's a boundary as well.
because
That's why.
pride is not a negative. Pride can be a really negative thing.
Well, I mean, it's a if you follow the Bible, it's a
one of
sin
the-
for a
it's
reason.
one of
You
the
know what I
seven,
mean?
Definitely one
So
of the seven sins.
it's one of the 7 deadly sins, and I mean, like, and believe it or not, I think every human, I believe, has pride. We all,
absolutely.
because I mean, of course, I always could say it like that's pride. Like I said, like we have to go with what, if anything, the 7 deadly sins are the ones you identify with. I usually identify with pride, and if anything, wrath and gluttony. Everyone knows why it's gluttony. Everybody already knows that. That's dark humor aside. But pride. Anyone that knows me knows, like, pride. I've literally, I will say it. Yes, I prided myself on always doing everything mostly just by myself or doing it alone. Like I was so used to being raised on hyper independence, and when it comes to if you have to get to that point of you asking for help, it's kind of a demeaning and diminishing feeling, because when there was times where I did need to be helped, even growing up, where I needed to be helped, instead of me getting the help from those so-called relationships or even for friendships, they would turn those those low moments I had and use it against me, or demean me, verbally eviscerate me. So that's why, like, I pride myself on trying to never put myself in predicaments where I need to ask for help. And it will, and then any of my friends, even my closest friends, they will all even tell you, like, I will literally sit here and I could be without, not have nothing, and I'll struggle. I literally will sit here and struggle. It will take everything. It takes everything in me to even finally say, like, all right, look, yeah, I'm going through something right now. Like, it's hurt. I'm like going through a lot. I can't do this, can't do that. And I don't want to feel like they have to help, because it just has to feel like, once again, it's like, all right, they help, but then it's like, they're gonna try to use this against me some point in the future. If there's like a fallout, or if there's like a disagreement, they'll use it against you in the future. They're gonna try to throw it in your face. Don't let them.
That's from a sense of
that is it's a sense, not even a sense of repetition. I think it also falls on, it's a sense of, like, again, it's just past traumas that I just am still trying to work through, that I'm still trying to heal through.
But that's what I mean by repetition. You know what I mean? Because it keeps happening. Or I don't want to say it keeps happening, but it's happened so much in your past that it's affecting you to the point where
it's trauma.
You are how you are.
Exactly.
It's trauma.
Exactly. So it's just like that trauma is just like what deals into with pride. Like I said, like those but and even then, it does cause, when situations that have happened to me, it has caused, for those same friends to pull me to the side and let me know, like, yo, you are good. Like, it is okay for you to ask for help. Like, we're friends, we're family. Ask for help. It is all right. You don't have to sit here and like hold it in, or just be like, you're just gonna do without, because now because that's what is that gonna do if something, God forbid, something happens to me. You gotta also remember, like, granted, I'm a type 1 diabetic, so obviously everyone always is gonna be on pins and needles when it comes to me, when it comes to like sugar, or when it comes to like food,
right?
Or anything. So if I don't have anything, and if I just like pass out right in front of them, it goes into panic mode, because they're like, well, what the hell to do, what to do. And then when they find out why that happened to me, for like I ended up passing out because because maybe I just didn't have enough. I didn't have what I had to like to be able to eat, because I've been so focused on, like, if I've been so focused on like other things in life, like bills and all that other shit, like any other fucking adult, that's not an excuse. it's not an excuse to like sit there and be like, it's not an excuse and it's not a minute to like, feel sorry for you. If anything, it's just like, yo, they're gonna like it gets to that point where it's like those same friends got to talk to you sternly sternly.
Out of
Just
love. It's out
yeah,
of love, though.
it's out of love. It's out of love, but it got to be stern with you because it's like it's not being malicious. It's not to put you down. It's just like, yo, like we're not. You gotta like get this. You gotta get control of this. You can't keep doing this. You can't be this prideful. It's going to be. It's okay for you to put that pride aside. Like, yo, pride is going to kill you. Literally, like I've heard it numerous times from so many different friends. Like they've said it. Yo, your pride is going to kill you.
Mm.
And it's only like not even now. I'm now like learning to be okay with just be like, just put your pride to the side. Like there's people here who really do want to help you.
Yeah.
And that's not even just to me, that's to anyone. Like, yo, a lot of times we do have people that are here that really want to help you, want to be able to listen, able to be able, if you need a little bit of cash or you need to be spotted something, do this, that. It's okay.
Yeah.
Everybody is, you got to always remind yourself that everybody is not your past traumas. They are not the ones that are going to sit here. Even the new friendships you have now, they're not, you can't automatically put them, compartmentalize and put them in this box and think that they're going to be the same ones that put you down and are going to go and destroy you or try to say something that's diminish you, verbally eviscerate you. That's not what they're doing.
No.
It's not you. You got to give. Even if they are, you got to give them the grace. You have to give them the grace, unfortunately, to show that. You can't automatically just assume that they're gonna do that because then everyone always tells you when you assume makes you an asshole.
Yeah.
You assume the worst. You assume the worst all the time when that's not even happening. You look like an asshole. You just gotta. You gotta learn.
Yeah, not every stern talking to means that they hate you.
Yeah.
It's sometimes it's really out of concern and love.
It's just out of concern. They care.
Trust. It happens with me and my family. Like I try to I tell mom or dad something, and I'm telling them this not just because of experience, but because of what could happen if something is happening. You try to tell kids that, kids don't listen, but kids end up doing it anyway. Then they come running back to you. Oh, mommy, daddy, you were right. I wasn't supposed to do this, wasn't supposed to do that. But some people, just like the old Caribbean proverb, some don't hear, some gotta feel.
You gotta feel
That's
it.
how some people are. That's literally how some people are.
I mean, kids, that's usually what you see a lot in kids, because kids are kids. They're not going to listen. Kids are always going to do something. They're kids. They're literally
there are some grown ass kids
they're
living lives right now.
I mean, if they're kids that were, I think in an aspect of like, yeah, there are some grown ass immature kids. Yes, that's different. But like actual children, they naturally they're kids. They're supposed to do dumb shit.
Yeah, no, I understand.
They're not supposed to like be full-fledged responsible. They're not, but that's why
Yeah, I'm not directly blaming them. I was giving a reference.
I know the example. No, because I get the example, and examples the thing. You tell them, don't put your hand on the hot stove. And what do you do? And what they usually do, they'll sometimes put the hand on the hot stove anyways. Well, what you learn? What did you learn?
Curiosity killed a cat.
I was that stupid child as a young child.
Oh, I could give plenty situations, but I'm not going to.
You look like
touch it. It's hot.
You look like the one. You look like
I was that stupid kid. I was 3.
Don't say stupid. You just like to go against the grain. That's all that is.
And by 3, he means he adds the 0 after the 3.
You look like you were the rebel. You look like you were the rebel.
Exactly.
Like every time, and then you just decided to just like calm down. You look like that type. You look
that
like
was me
in the class.
A regular James Dean. That's
yeah. So, I guess we'll go back to a couple comments, or maybe just one.
Yes.
So is coffee?
Yes.
Why
yes.
Tiffany is so short,
yes.
ladies and gents?
Yes. That and it's in her genes. Move on.
All right.
All right then.
Grand open and grand closing.
Yep.
There's nothing else to say about that.
But being that September is Suicide Prevention Month, I as well as the rest of the podcast, we haven't been doing many mental health episodes this season. I think we've done maybe what would you guys say? Maybe one or two, but very sporadically.
This is probably like the second one we've done.
We've
Yeah,
Because
done
we
one
had the
this
first
season.
one was with
yeah,
Phil
yeah,
Morris, I believe, right?
yeah. The Fillmore Boys. That was the one we did for the year, and then and now this
That
is
was last year, wasn't it?
no,
We
no,
didn't
it
do
was
one
this
Oh,
this
that
year,
year.
was
was it?
like during the
The
summer,
beginning of the year.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
beginning of
And
the
then
beginning
we
of
year,
the year.
rolled
really?
into it sometime spring, maybe.
Yeah, about around springtime. That's when we did it.
Damn,
Okay,
Yeah, see,
damn.
time flies.
it really
So
does.
you know, it's okay that we talk about wrestling and fun shit all the time. It's great. It's great to keep everybody's spirit lifted, but sometimes you got to get a bit grounded and get to, the depths of these brains here. We're all four different minds. We all operate differently, regardless to what we come together as a podcast. Yes, but individually, you may think you know us, but it's best sometimes you sit down, come to the campfire, let's talk some shop, talk some stories, and actually
And,
really get to the serious portions of how our minds work.
and again,
Um,
and again, once again, just to put this disclaimer out there,
mhm,
please do not anyone for the commenters, anyone of y'all that are watching, please do not take this episode as like a direct shot or direct as a subliminal. Do not take this in any type of way personal, thinking that this is affecting for any of you that know us personally, like thinking
mhm.
like y'all are somewhat like this is a PSA to put y'all on a chopping block, so to speak. This is nothing to do with that. Like just because I know, because like sometimes people like keep overthinking, like to overthink and think like, yo, is QS or is Striker K Marvel? They talking about us?
Sorry.
And it's just like, nah, nobody's talking about. It's not a matter. We're not. Nobody's putting anybody else down. Nobody's talking about. This is just a random conversation. But the only thing we're trying to like just put out there for y'all is like, when it comes to like friendships and boundaries, is when you have to set these boundaries in your friendships, it is okay for it to just have these uncomfortable discussions.
Hmm.
Every uncomfortable discussion is not going to lead into a confrontation or to a fight. It's
Right.
not. That's not what this is about. That's not what it's leading to. But what I would also like to let y'all know that if and if you take anything from this, and if you decide to have you're growing, you realize you're growing, and you're on this journey of healing, and you're trying to move forward, and you in your discussion with whoever friend you have this discussion with, and you want to say like you're setting boundaries, and not to let say with Mark, as you said before, you don't want people to take kindness for weakness. If they continue to I guess you to say, guess the word is chastise, or if any, not even not chastise, say if they're continue to gaslight you in a sense,
Right.
then
Gaslight's the word.
you have to be okay with. It's okay for you to just look at them and say, yeah, I'm out. It's okay to let that friendship
Yeah.
go with no hate and no blood. It's okay to just be like, all right, this ain't working.
You
It's
did your part. Remember that you did your part.
Your part. It's not working, and it's okay to walk away from certain friendships that are just not good for you. It's okay for you to realize that and just walk away from it. And I think that's another thing that a lot of folks are afraid of when they don't want to have these conversations when it comes to about setting these certain boundaries, or if it ultimately ends because they think like it's going to end to a fight and it's going to be the end of a friendship. You could have a calm discussion, and if they can't respect the boundary of that calm discussion, then yeah, you owe it to yourself and to your peace of mind and yourself, peace to your spirit, to be able to walk away from this
Mm-hmm.
and leave it alone.
Mm-hmm. I feel we've been through a pandemic. We've been through things happening around the world. You're seeing changes are happening everywhere. Powers are shifting. Weather's changing. We're getting even more terrible weather. So there's a lot of dark clouds, in the sky at this moment for happening around the world. But just remember, the sun comes up every day. The sun comes up every day. So just like how the sun comes up, sometimes you gotta just leave the nighttime in the yesterday and move on with the sun in the next day on the next day. That's how I treat it. Sometimes yesterday's problems are not today's problems. And
Okay.
sometimes some people can't differentiate, you know? Some
Gotcha.
people go to sleep angry, wake up angry still.
Yeah.
And that's stuff that people internally have to, you know, they have to deal with that. They have to find their place of meditation, their place of healing in a sense. Not specifically, but find their way to heal and find their way to get over things. But I feel as long as you wake up with breath the next morning, you're able to get out of bed, you're able to open your eyes, you're able to see the sunrise, hear the birds chirping, stuff of that nature, you know, you can always make a change that next day. So don't give up on yourself. Uh Situations may not always be the best, but you got to make the best out of every situation. What's the quotable you make lemonade out of lemons or something like that, or when you get lemons you make lemonade, something of
When
that
life,
sort.
when,
When life
when
gives
life
you
gives you
lemons,
make
you
lemonade.
make
Mhm.
ice cream.
So that doesn't even work.
But like,
It's like two
That's
different
who you
textures.
can
Like
make.
doesn't.
You can make lemonade ice cream. That's lemon ice cream. That's a thing.
that's
Not out of
Yeah,
lemons.
No,
I don't know
why
what
not?
juicer
No,
or
Not out of
blender you're
lemons by
using,
itself.
sir, but
that's like
look, man, I use a Ninja. What do you want? All
What are
right,
you
leave me alone.
Moses?
what are you, Moses? Like what the,
Jesus
So
or
that's
something
question.
like
You don't
that?
want the answers to Stretch.
like what is that?
Turn
Like
water
that's
into
like
wine in a wedding, like
yeah,
yeah,
he's
that's like a
coffee
miracle
stunts your
waiting to
growth.
happen.
he's no Jesus.
I want to
But
know. I gotta look
apparently he
that up.
makes
I've
lemons
never
into
Yeah,
heard
ice
because
cream,
that.
ladies and
that's
gentlemen.
local.
I've
Really like a
I
miracle
gotta look
waiting to
that
happen.
up.
Like what
I
the
ain't
hell?
never
Like,
hear that shit
never
till
heard
now.
that
Like,
phrase before.
coffee
when
stunts
life
your growth.
gives
I
you
never
And
heard of that.
lemons,
and
Oh, dude,
insert
that
in
I'm telling you, that's a thing.
instead
People
of him
legitimately
being
say
having
that.
Midas's touch, he's probably like got Mr. Softy's touch. Like everything he touches
Shit,
is turning
Everything
to
he
ice
nigga,
cream.
touches
I'd be a
turns to
fucking
soft serve
millionaire.
ice
Best
cream.
believe.
soft ice cream.
Sell that bitch real quick.
You imagine he tries to look up something on his laptop. Soft serve ice
You want to
cream.
know what was it? What was it? There was a show. I think it's Robot Chicken, but I'm trying to remember
The
what it
golden the
was.
Midas touch.
Yeah, but he
Yeah.
didn't turn everybody to gold. He turned them into a certain character. I think it was somebody from the Golden Girls. Everybody he
Oh.
touched turned to that character.
God.
Room Planet or something.
I forgot exactly. If I find the
And everybody
episode,
turns to
I'll let
Blanche.
y'all know next
Blanche.
episode. But
That's
it's
crazy.
something of that sort. Yeah, there's some weird stuff like that. But okay, so roundtable real quick. What did you guys feel about the episode? We're gonna do this on air. What do you guys feel about the conversation? What do you guys feel about just having this corner of controversy is what we call it, where we actually sit down, we do these conversations live in front of everybody. Stretch, go.
I got no problem doing them. I mean, I think that it's like, I think it humanizes us a little bit, you know, to let everybody know, like, hey, we're human and we go through these things as well. These are things that happen to be on our minds too, you know, and these are things that I know for a fact that our viewing audience go through. You know, these are questions that they may have. These are thoughts that they may have. So the fact that we can sit here and express ourselves like adults to a viewing audience, you know, makes us, I think, pretty relatable. So, not to toot our own horn, but
Was anybody hearing my phone conversation just now?
No,
you
you
muted
good.
yourself
Okay,
accordingly.
good.
Don't
No,
worry.
no, because I'm hearing the echo, so I don't know if it's actually
Because
still
you did it on a thing. You didn't do it on here, so you're good.
Oh, okay.
You're good.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Mhm.
Gotcha. Okay. Um. Q. Your
Yeah.
thoughts, not concerns necessarily. I think
It's
concerns we can do off air, but
it's just
your
a moment.
thoughts.
It's a moment of transparency, and sometimes and the thing about it is people don't realize it when we have these type of conversations. This is where you get the most raw opinions. You know, you'll always get an opinion from us when it comes to wrestling, but it's like us talking about wrestling. Like, how many times are you going to keep hearing that from us? Like,
Mm-hmm.
better for us to
Branch out.
branch out and like have these real like raw conversations because again they are important. They're part of it's part of what our lives entail. This is what we're all going through every day. Like behind, even when we log off here and we stop talking off air off this, we got to deal with this whatever we're dealing with mentally by ourselves. It
Yep.
comes to our own home. Like some of us in our own home, some of us in wherever we're at. You have, and it's good to like have these conversations outside, and even hearing the comments agree to like realize that we're all not alone. Like they're not alone. They can feel the same way, but we're not alone as well. We're not alone as well. They're not alone. Like we're all just trying to get through this thing called life. Dearly beloved, we're gathered here today to get through this thing here called life. Like good old said that, and it still holds through even till now. Like you just gotta hold. That's why I always say like as much as you can, just hold firm. Stay solid, stay 10 toes. And I always enjoy these type of episodes the most. I enjoy having these type of conversations because it's just like you get to learn a little bit. You when you sit down and you just listen to everything you're listening, you'll realize how much you learn more about the individuals that you're having these conversations with when you just sit down and listen.
Right. Whew. Well, for me, from a business standpoint, I'll just because I'm very transparent in general. From a business standpoint, like I feel it gives a different layer to us, and we we do pride ourselves on being a wrestling podcast. We do pride ourselves on us all being black men at that, in a space that is not always welcoming to black men or just black people in general in terms of wrestling podcasting and stuff of that nature.
Mhm.
But to peel back that onion, I guess you can say,
Mm-hmm.
and show that different layer of us being emotional, us being, thought provoking, not really provocative, but I would say what's the word? There's a word in my head and it's never coming out, so probably after we get off the damn show, it'll probably disappear. But transparency is a great choice of word, I guess you can say. But to have men in general just come on a platform like this and speak about things that bother them, things that go on through their heads that they may not necessarily say in private to one another, or even let people know out of pride or out of fear of things coming out publicly that have been said privately. um it shows a deeper level of trust, I guess, between us as a podcast, but just in general, what we feel what we feel to speak about on a platform like this, and how big a platform this can be for anybody who wants to reach out and speak about mental health and things of that nature. And Mr.
Um,
Marvel.
honestly, I don't even know what to say. Um, I honest to God went into this episode without really much to say. Um, and I guess part of that is because of everything I'm currently going through. Um, I'm sorry, this is taking a while.
Take your time, man.
I don't know, man. It's been rough. These last number of months have been real hard. For me personally. Um,
But remember,
I, I
you
mean,
don't
I
need to
can't.
pour out your heart
No.
on the
I
pod.
know,
But
But you know what it is. But you know what it is. At the end of the day, like I said, I really didn't have much coming into it.
mhm,
So for me to kind of try to summarize how I feel isn't necessarily the easiest right now. But I mean, I can't disagree. I mean, there's no way I could disagree with what everybody's saying. Um, eh,
And not to cut you off, but
Not good.
uh
I wasn't saying what.
remember it doesn't specifically have to be catered to the episode, but
Oh
being
no, no,
that
no,
this
no.
is a
Look,
this is a corner that we haven't been
yeah.
back to in a very long time.
I mean, at the end of the day, I do love doing this. I do love having this outlet, um, to be able to speak, from the heart, essentially,
Mhm.
and having and showing people that we can be vulnerable, and that we're not just all wrestling. We've had discussions off air. Granted, we've been doing this for, excuse me, for, I guess, in a couple months it'll be 2.5 years, and was something QS had stressed for a long time, was us doing different things. Um, and this was such a major point for all of us, just not only because of our lives and the shit that we've been through, but well, no, because of our lives and the shit we've been through.
Yeah.
We a lot of people who do follow the podcast and do know us knows the struggles we've been through, some of the struggles that we are going through. They know our professions. They know how our job situations are and how difficult that can be in itself. Um, and I mean, like I said, we all know, QS has his job and it's not necessarily the greatest, which, we've specified that. Stretch has his job and that could be so fucking taxing on him
Could
with
be,
days
says
like
you.
today. No, it is. You know what I mean? Like, you know, um, I work at the hospital. Me doing the hospital gig is can be real fucking stressful at times. And Striker is Striker.
I'm definitely
Like,
working.
everything is just everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, it just happens that way,
Definitely working.
and it's not. No, 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 no. Not saying that. I mean more so that because you've had so many jobs, especially after pandemic, that's
Oh yeah.
taxing on you. You know what I mean?
I can
So
I can keep it a buck. I just like many Americans, just like many people across the world, had a job in January and they promised me that they were going to give me something and they did not. So
yeah,
I politely told them to fuck off and I walked out.
yeah,
Mind you, this is after I had a bout with COVID and it was 2 weeks before my birthday
yeah,
and I had that sense of clarity and I walked right out. I told them I'm not coming
Uh,
back.
yeah. And I think one of the things, especially when it comes to jobs, is that job security aren't secure, and it's really up to us to make something, not necessarily out of nothing, but to create something for ourselves and to create a life that's better for the future. And I can speak on that, and not shunning my brothers on the podcast, but as a father, even even as a father, going through the things that I'm currently going through, it's really affecting my family, my friends, and me. And first and foremost, I guess I am pouring my heart, Striker. I get
I mean,
at the end
look,
of the day,
it's
I'm
from,
sorry.
as I said from earlier, if
Yeah.
it's from your heart, you pour it
You
out.
know,
Just know
at,
you did it and let it
Yeah.
fly afterwards, man.
Sometimes
at the end of the day, I'm sorry. And that's genuine and that's real. And it's not easy, and I think all four of us could say this about each. I don't want to say each other, but like saying it about yourself. You know what I mean? So Stretch could say this about himself, Striker could say this about himself, QS could say this about himself, I could say it about me. Sometimes it's not easy dealing with us. And things once again, it goes back to pride. It's hard to ask for help sometimes. And excuse me, I'm shivering. I'm like, it's like freezing right now.
Mm.
But at the end of the day, you know, at least I can speak for me. At the end of the day, I know there's people there. Um, so whoever is listening, whoever's watching, whoever comes back to this episode, um, never feel that it's not about never feel that it's not about not caring or not wanting, but it's the fear of finding out that there's something about you as an individual, like I said, as like myself, that can change everything. Um, and I think if you don't have that type of fear, then you really don't give a fuck about yourself enough, because there's everybody has something deep rooted that brings out that struggle and pain, and um and I can't think of the word. And either way, because I can't think of it. But these episodes do help. Um, and it's okay to talk about it, but it's also okay to fight alone if you can get through it, and if not, search.
Yeah,
You know,
search and
um,
admit when you need help at times. Pride definitely go it before the fall, but you don't even want it to reach to the fall point. If you know you need help, reach out. If
but
one thing about this month has shown a lot of people, and it shows people every year, people go days, months, weeks,
shit.
years without help. And I honestly believe if it wasn't for COVID, a lot of the mental health discussions may have not came out. A lot of people would not have realized, hey, I have to be at home. I have to actually sit here and deal with me, figure me out, figure what I want to live for, figure out what I want to do with my life. Because at some point in time during the start of the pandemic, nobody ever thought we'd go back outside. So
Yeah.
COVID,
that at least for me, that's how I viewed it. I'm actually
COVID,
at home. I have to cohabitate with my family. I have to really sit down, have conversations with them every
And I
day.
think, and I think, sorry, and we ended up stretching this episode a little longer because of me. Sorry, but
It's no biggie.
excuse me. But then there's also the flip side, where there's people in my situation whom still had to go to work, still had to deal with this. People in my situation who were in hospitals, who were cops, who were firefighters, who worked in grocery stores, who were garbage men, who still had to go out every day and do their job and be nervous about the what if. What if I do get COVID? Because at that time we had no clue what it was about, honestly.
Right.
And because of that, like I had, sorry, love, one of my biggest fights was because of how I processed COVID. One of the biggest arguments of my life was because of how I processed COVID. One of the biggest situations that I had to deal with that involved my family was because of COVID.
Mm.
And that was hard. And it was so difficult. And shit, I don't think I've ever yelled like that in my life, honestly. Like I don't think I ever had a real fight like that in my entire life. Um and that showed a lot. But I was so scared of having it and not knowing, and and whoever forbid, giving it to my daughter and her giving it back to her mom's side of the family, or even coming back home to my sister or whatever the case may be. Yeah, like it was tough. So either way, sorry, I'm kind of like going off the rails, but um these episodes, shows the humanity in us, in us four, and the people who comment. um it shows that we are not only just wrestling podcasters, black wrestling podcasters, black male wrestling podcasters, but it shows that we are just fucking human,
Mhm.
and we go through mistakes and we go through struggles and we fight, and sometimes we're not necessarily the strongest, and it's okay. um sometimes it's all right to not be strong, because there are people who are there who can help you build that strength, who can someone said it's okay to lean on people.
Yeah.
um and QS said it earlier, where sometimes it's hard for those people to be that crutch for you, but if they care about you enough, it's going to be one of two things: A, they will continue to be that crutch, or B, they will let you go through what you're going through because they understand that you will be stronger from it. So at the end of the day, remember, people are here for you, and people love you, and you're not alone, even though you feel like you are alone. um
Yes, sir.
Remember to love yourself, and every morning that you wake up and you're able to open your eyes and tell the people that you love them is a blessed day. um is a day that is a day that you don't take for granted, even if you lay in bed all day, even if you just go out for one walk, even if you go to work, even if you just listen to music, even if you just listen to video games, play video games, watch wrestling, fucking play basketball, get up, tie your sneakers, take your sneakers off, go back to bed. Regardless, is that you was able to wake up in the morning, and there's a lot of people who were not able to do that, and I can
Yep.
speak on that personally because I just lost a coworker last week. um so
Condolences.
rest in power, Mike. um and QS, real quick, can you say the number of the prevention line and the shortened, like, three number, the shortened part of it?
I mean,
I think they just changed it to the 3 digits now, right?
yeah,
Yeah, that's one of them.
they did change the suicide prevention hotline to just 988, because help is officially available. That's 988. You can literally dial it or text it 988. It's the suicide and crisis lifeline. It's always available 24 hours. If you need to chat, if you want to go onto the lifeline itself, you can do the number. If anyone wants to type that in, it's 1-800-273-8255. But if you don't want to actually type that number in, you can literally just dial 988, and it's still going to take you to the same location. Like I said, there's, like, at the end of the day, you know, try to leave with, if anything, try to leave with this episode with a focus of reassurance, a and a focus of there is always anybody, there's somebody here, there's always going to be somebody there to speak to. You are also not alone with the feeling, the way that you feel. No one's going to tell you to not feel your feels. Feel however you need to, but always know that there is always an outlet that is there. There's always an
Yeah.
outlet that's there. There's always somebody to speak to. Um, take At the end of the
And,
day, also just take this episode as a way of, no matter how, if 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 you have to set a boundary for yourself because of the journey that you feel that you are on, that you are on a way, a path of healing, and you're trying to just make you better for you, to make sure that you are at peace with yourself. It's okay to do that. It is okay for you to set those boundaries for your peace. And if others cannot rock with the boundary that you set, then you know that it is okay to let that go. It is okay to let
yeah,
them go. it is no harm, it's no foul. Because at the end of the day, what matters is you. You
Yeah.
you make sure that you come first before anybody else.
And if you get a chance, you mind if I take that down real quick?
Sure.
If you look under my title, it says I'm fine. The FINE is actually based off of a song that I've listened to by Kyle Hume, I think is, or Hume maybe, Hume. So if you get a chance, listen to that song. Mainly to show that once again you're not alone. Even though that's how you might feel. So yeah, so check that out if you get a chance. And gentlemen, let's do what we do.
Normally, I would make a quip about, how you should follow me or shouldn't follow me. There's my socials right there. I have two things. One, close friend of mine, actually, congratulations to her for giving safe birth to a healthy baby boy.
Congrats.
Very,
Congrats. Welcome to
very, very
parenthood.
happy for you and your husband. I don't want to say names because she has sworn me to secrecy about letting the cat out the bag, but she knows who she is. Secondly,
Do we know her?
no.
Of
secondly,
course,
secondly, on a sadder note, unfortunately, and this is about somebody that me, okay, Marvel and Stryker know. Unfortunately, we had the honor of working together in Toys R Us, and that's how we initially met and became friends. A member of our Toys R Us family recently passed away, unfortunately, a gentleman by the name of James Branch. And I think if anybody that's in Toys R Us, sorry, you had to find out like that. I thought you knew.
I had no clue.
Anybody that worked in Toys R Us with us and knew James knew what type of, just a breath of fresh air as a human being. Such a really nice man, a really good dude, would meet you for 2 seconds and make you feel welcomed, and would go out of his way to make you feel welcomed. I'm going to miss running into him in our Knicks group. He invited me to be an admin in a Knicks group on Facebook, which I frequent and stuff like that. And I can't say enough good things about James as a person. RIP to James, and may he rest in peace. He was really, really good man.
rest in peace, rest in power.
Sorry.
Jeez.
Sorry.
Well, no, it's okay. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Like I said, you can follow me at Mr. After Hours himself on Instagram and on Twitter. At Forever Thiefing. Again, as always, thank you for everyone. For the shout outs. Last weekend was celebrating. Grandmother 75th, Heavenly 75th. That was successful. I would also like to say on a lighter note, there was some news that I did receive before we started the show. I'm not going to say exactly what I found out, but just know that it actually helped me be able to really just get through the show, even on a more lighter note, for me to be positive. So, just as I guess what the saying goes is, when if you keep everything in prayer and you manifest it saying that it's going to work out, it will work out. That's literally what I hope that everybody takes these type of mental health episodes, because like I said, these episodes are my favorite ones to always do. I really just hope that everybody's as jaded, as dark as it always feels and as bleak. Just know that when you keep thinking, it's going to keep getting better. It is eventually going to get better. It sounds cliche, but trust me, it really will. And you'll be surprised how much it does, how much you really pray for it, how much you yearn for it. It does actually get better. It's just a process. You just got to go along with the process and the punches.
Keep that good energy, and that energy will follow you. Trust.
Absolutely.
Oh God, yes. It's me, StrykerDragoon. Hi, how are you guys? Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok is all the same. I am no longer affiliated with Twitch. That's a long story for another day. But if you know anything that's going on with Twitch as a platform, you will understand why I have completely removed myself from Twitch. I will watch people's streams. I'll comment for sure, but I'm no longer putting any energy into Twitch itself. But TikTok's actually pretty interesting. I'm gonna take a while, get accustomed to it. Comic-Con is actually next week. And I believe 3 of the 4 corners will be in the building.
So far.
At least that Friday, all 3 of us will be in the building, and Stretch will be. I believe you said you were going away next weekend.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Well,
Hey,
weekend. Yeah, next weekend.
Next
I'm
weekend,
going away.
right?
So overworked. I'm jumbling up my dates.
So everybody will be getting a nice bit of rest and relaxation next week, and we're just gonna go geek out. So
Right.
definitely check my TikTok for any of my individual, videos and photos or anything with me and QS and possibly K Marvel if we manage to bump into each other. And later on, definitely follow the Council of Commentary TikTok. There will be a lot more clips being posted on that. I'm loving the traction that we're getting. So TikTok may actually be the wave for the moment. And also remember, subscribe to the YouTube. The YouTube's getting traction. The YouTube's getting follows. I am at 72. If I get 28 more subs, and it will be a double game giveaway. Yes, I have to be sure and confident that I'm doing this. Sorry. It will be a double game giveaway, standard editions, not doing collector's editions. I'm not rich, and if you want a collector's edition, you should go out and get it yourself. But I'll be granting any platform of choice, any standard edition game. I will gift it to 2 lucky winners, and I'll be doing a thank you video at 100 subscribers. Just make sure you comment, make sure you interact with that video. That is how I will gather everybody for the double game giveaway. Had something else to say. Let me see. Yes, so sorry. If you're in the building for Comic-Con next week, just hit us up on Twitter. You see all our social medias. Our social medias will be in the description below, as will the YouTube if you need to subscribe. Definitely, link with us or hit us up. Let us know where we can meet you, and let's all take a group photo. Let's all take a shot, or just drink some orange juice or something if you're not a drinker, and just have fun. It's a great weekend, great week of anime up and coming. Uh DLC coming out for different things next week. It's gonna be a great week. Absolutely great week next week. So that's about it for me.
well, now that I got that news, first and foremost, rest in power, James. Wow, you really just like blew
That
my
caught
whole
me by
mind with that
surprise.
one.
I thought you knew. All right, my apologies.
No, dude, I had no. It's cool. It's just, I mean, granted, it seems like it happened a couple days ago. It's just,
Fairly recently.
yeah, I literally had no idea. I mean, he was one like outside of Johnny, you know.
Yeah,
Shout out to Johnny. He was
he's
really like
still
the heart
going
and soul
strong.
Yeah, everybody knew
of
him.
yeah, man. He's just an
Everybody.
amazing person. Um, I'm sorry. I'm looking at his page now. It's just it's still kind of unbelievable, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah, man. Life is short. You
Um,
never know.
Yeah.
Never know.
always I say that all the time, man. But sorry. Um, as always, you can find me at Mr. Marvel 87 on Instagram and Twitter. You can also find me almost every Tuesday and Thursday at 7:30 on Coffee with Rev with the Rev Ron Hunt and Sloan. Um, on Twitter Spaces. So please come through and check that out. It's a lot of fun. Most of the time we're not even talking wrestling. We're just bullshitting and having a great time. And it goes from 7:30 to whenever the fuck we feel like ending. Um, Sorry, there was something else. Oh, also, so like Stryker said, we will be at Comic-Con. Will be there all 4 days. So make sure you hit us up. Let us know where you're at, and we can link up and just chill. We can have a chat. Maybe we'll do something a little special while we're there if we could figure that out. Also, don't forget, Extreme Rules is next week, next Saturday. So, and
Yep,
there's a
next Saturday.
lot of shit going down. There's a lot of extreme type matches, which is something we've been asking for a while. because they haven't been
Everybody got a
doing it.
stipulation in
So
their match. That's
yeah,
how it
as
should
it
be.
should be, as it fucking should be. So maybe next week we'll cover it and we'll talk about a couple other things. So stay tuned for that. You can follow the Four Corners of Commentary on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch. Yeah, at the Council of Commentary.
Yeah,
You
we're
can
gonna
find us
take
on
Twitch out.
TikTok. Yeah, I know. You can find us at well, I mean, they can still find our shit there though.
Oh yeah, of course.
So you can find us at TikTok at Council of Commentary. You can find us
Yes,
on
sir.
Twitter at CO Commentary. You can also follow us on all of your favorite streaming platforms: YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Audible, and iHeartRadio, just to name a few, because we are on so much more. All you have to do is Google us, and you will find the Purple Ring and our names and logo on it and shit. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate y'all so much. Thank you for sticking through this very difficult episode with us. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. We love the support. We will always support back. There's a lot of cool things coming up. I have a ton of plans, not only for the group, but involving other podcasters. Also, don't forget this Saturday is Battle Club Pros Trial for Combat, where all four of their major titles will be on the line. It will be Big Swole versus Mike Law. The winner of that match will face the match of Steve Pena versus. Oh my God, I'm so mad! I just blanked out. They're gonna kill me. But those the and those two are gonna. The winner of that match is gonna face, and then the winner will have all four titles. So, excuse me. Uh, pardon me. Oh, Mirror Drake. There you go. I apologize. Excuse me.
Nick
That was
Drake.
disrespectful. So we are gonna I'm gonna try to come through. Hopefully my brothers can come through. And if not, it's cool. Because either way, we're gonna have a great time. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, we are your Four Corners of Commentary, and we're out. We love you. Thank you.